Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Crowded Beaker Solves. Today, we're going to be drawing a couple of Lewis structures. And Lewis structures are diagrams of molecules that show a couple of things. They show what elements or what atoms are attached to which other atoms, and where the valence electrons get arranged inside of a molecule. I'm actually redoing a series of videos that I did a while ago during the pandemic for my other channel, Crowded Beaker. You can see those, but the video quality is not that great, and I felt I wanted to update them. So we're going to start with a fairly straightforward Lewis structure, nitrogen triiodide, and work our way toward ones that are more, they have exceptions or different variations on a theme. You might say they get a little more complex, but the nice thing is that the steps that we use to draw Lewis structures are pretty much the same every time. So if you learn the steps, then you can pretty much draw any of these Lewis structures. So the idea is if you're learning how to draw Lewis structures, you can start at this video and work your way through, and hopefully by the end you'll be a master at it and just love doing them because they're cool and artistic and they look really neat on paper. So Lewis structure is a diagram of a molecule, and what we're going to do is show how we would draw them. And again, the molecule does not look like this, but it's a model to help us think about atoms, and that's what you want to remember about these. So when you're drawing a Lewis structure for a molecule, you first want to look for its chemical formula, and I just like to write it as a way to sort of separate it on my paper so it looks good. And then what I'm going to do is, first step is to add the number of valence electrons each of these atoms has. And you would do that by looking at the column of the periodic table that it's in. That's the easiest way. So nitrogen is in the fifth tall column over on the periodic table, so it has 5 valence electrons. And iodine is 2 columns over in the seventh column, and so it has 7 valence electrons. Now there are 3 iodines in this molecule, so I have to multiply that by 3. There's not a lot of math, but there is a little bit of math here. 21 plus 5 gives me 26 electrons. Okay, and that's the first step. You just have to know how many electrons you're dealing with. I always like to say that when a molecule like this is formed, it's like the elements get together and they make a pool of all their valence electrons. How many valence electrons do we have to work with? And then they arrange the valence electrons in the molecule to achieve the lowest possible energy state and minimize the repulsion between them. So the second step is to make a skeleton structure. And usually that means putting the first element in the middle, the other elements around the outside, and we attach them with a single line which represents 2 electrons each. So I've used 2, 4, 6 electrons in this structure already. I've got 20 more to go. Step number 3 says, start with the outermost atoms, and give them all 6 more electrons to give them an octet. Atoms want to achieve an octet when they're making bonds in a molecule. And that's most of the time true, but it's kind of a suggestion. There are times when the octet rule doesn't apply. But for now, assume that it does. And now I've used up 24 electrons. If I count 2, 4, 6, 8 3 times, that's 24. I'm supposed to have 26, so I have 2 extras. And step number 4 says, if you have extra electrons, you put them on the central atom. And doing so, even if doing so results in more than an octet, although in this case we end up with exactly an octet, 2, 4, 6, 8, and this molecule is now complete. We don't have to do any double bonds or triple bonds because everybody has 8 electrons around it. So we'll give that a little heart, and that one is done. So I have another similar one for you to try, and we'll get that one set up. So following the same set of steps, this is draw Lewis structure for phosphorus trifluoride, PF3, and follow the same steps. Feel free to pause the video and see if you can draw a Lewis structure for phosphorus trifluoride while I give you a second or two. Okay, so for a chance to check our work, if your molecule ended up looking very similar to the first one, with a phosphorus in the middle and the 3 outside, single bonds, and a lone pair on the central atom, then congratulations, you did a great job. You might notice you had one central and three outer atoms, and the same number of electrons, the same number in the pool. And so it's no surprise to me or anybody else that the molecule you end up with here looks very similar to the molecule we did earlier. And you'll see a lot of repetition in how these molecules look, and a lot of molecules tend to look the same when you draw their Lewis structures. So there you have it, a simple Lewis structure. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have a Lewis structure suggestion you'd like me to try, feel free to include it in the comments or message me. And in the meantime, have fun drawing and have a great day.